Stop. I guess I should work on some sort of a proper intro and outro, like a proper greeting to say hi and a proper greeting to say goodbye, but I I don't know. Whatever. All I know is that I was called to read this to you, so that's what I'm doing. I'm not a YouTuber. I don't feel this doesn't feel natural to me, okay? So, anyway. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, lessons from Israel's idolatry. I don't want you to forget, dear brothers and sisters, about our ancestors in the wilderness long ago. All of them were guided by a cloud that moved ahead of them, and all of them walked through the sea on dry ground. In the cloud and in the sea, all of them were baptized as followers of Moses. All of them ate the same spiritual food, and all of them drank the same spiritual water, for they drank from the spiritual rock that traveled with them, and that rock was Christ. Yet God was not pleased with most of them, and their bodies were scattered in the wilderness. These things happened as a warning to us, so that we would not crave evil things as they did, or worship idols as some of them did. As the scriptures say, the people celebrated with feasting and drinking, and they indulged in pagan revelry. And we must not engage in sexual immorality as some of them did, causing 23,000 of them to die in one day. Nor should we put Christ to the test as some of them did, and then died from snake bites. And don't grumble as some of them did, and then were destroyed by the angel of death. These things happened to them as examples for us. They were written down to warn us who live at the end of the age. If you think you are standing strong, be careful not to fall. The temptations in your life are no different from what others experience. And God is faithful. They will not allow the temptation to be more than you can stand. When you are tempted, they will show you a way out so that you can endure. I don't know if all these random calls are affecting the audio. I hope not. But it would be nice if y'all would stop calling me. You don't call me when I want to talk to you, so don't bother calling me now. No offense. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be rude, but seriously. You don't call me when I need someone to talk to, so don't bother calling now. So, my dear friends, flee from the worship of idols. You are reasonable people. Decide for yourselves if what I am saying is true. When we bless the cup at the Lord's table, aren't we sharing in the blood of Christ? Ew. No, we're not doing that. I don't know who decided that that was a thing. I know someone said that Jesus said that. I don't buy it. I don't. And when we break the bread, aren't we sharing in the body of Christ? And though we are many, we all eat from one loaf of bread, showing that we are one body. Metaphorically, maybe, but no. Ew. This whole idea of cannibalism stems from a very dark interpretation of scriptures that was not ever meant to be what you made it into. We don't drink blood, and we don't eat flesh, especially not human flesh. Think about the people of Israel. Weren't they united by eating the sacrifices at the altar? What am I trying to say? Am I saying that food offered to idols has some significance or that idols are real gods? No, not at all. I am saying that these sacrifices are offered to demons, not to God. And I don't want you to participate with demons. You cannot drink from the cup of the Lord and from the cup of demons too. You cannot eat at the Lord's table and at the table of demons too. What? Do we dare to rouse the Lord's jealousy? It's not that the Lord's jealous. Please understand this. Is God, jealousy is a lower level. That's not even, jealousy isn't an energy that resonates in the higher realms. Okay? Jealousy is something that mortals experience. God's not jealous of demons. It just shows that you still don't know God. If you are so blind and or arrogant and or stuck in your ego, that you are attempting to claim God, but you're also still cavorting with demons, then it just proves that you're not standing in the light. You're not standing in your authenticity. You're not standing in your power. And so you're stuck down here. You're in purgatory. Like you're going to stay stuck in limbo until you pick one or the other. You can't have it both ways. You can't have one foot in heaven and one foot in hell because, you're trying to hedge your bets and you're not sure who's going to, how, if God created the devil, how is the devil going to be God? How can something you created destroy you if you are the creator? Think about it. That would be like an author writing a book and the book somehow, the story was made up the whole time. The author created it all. The author controls the story. The author controls the outcome. How can, if you're the author of the story, how can you ever be the one to fail unless you choose to make yourself the one who fails? Think about it. Do you think we are stronger than they are? You say, I'm allowed to do anything, but not everything is good for you. You say, I'm allowed to do anything, but not everything is beneficial. Don't be concerned for your own good, but for the good of others. So you may eat any meat that is sold in the marketplace without raising questions of conscience, for the earth is the Lord's and everything in it. If someone who isn't a believer asks you home for dinner, accept the invitation if you want to. Eat whatever is offered to you without raising questions of conscience. See, for me personally, how can I explain this? Let's see. Give me the words, Lord. I grew up eating what I ate based on what I was given access to, right? We all did, right? And if I didn't feel like something was going to be good for me, or more or less, I looked at it like this. If visually it wasn't pleasing to me, and if the smell of it wasn't pleasing to me, then I wasn't going to take a chance on the fact that it would also taste good and be good. Like if it looked gross and it smelled gross, I'm not going to try it. I have no desire to try it. That was just my logic. Still my logic, actually. And it served me pretty well for the most part. But I also, when I would find myself in situations where I was in someone else's environment and they were eating things that I wasn't used to, I didn't expect them to necessarily cater to my desires. I just attempted to find what I would be able to tolerate out of what was available. So, for example, the first time I was ever taken to a Chinese buffet, I had never had Chinese food before, and I didn't know what to eat because I'd never had it, and everything looked strange and everything smelled strange. And I'm not judging, please don't take that the wrong way. I'm a child. I'm a small child at this time. I'm like maybe 6 years old at this time. And I'm taken to a Chinese buffet for the first time, and I don't know anything, and I don't know what to eat. And my grandmother's cousin, Billy, Sweet William, I remember him saying, try this. This is kind of like chicken nuggets, and this is kind of like spaghetti. And he gave me vegetable lo mein and sweet and sour chicken. And I enjoyed it. And so from then on, getting Chinese for me was getting vegetable lo mein and sweet and sour chicken. And in that same regard, I was able to get my children to eat Chinese by having them eat Chinese chicken nuggets and Chinese spaghetti. Are there other dishes that are probably equally as delicious and maybe even better for me? I'm sure. But that was what I knew based on the palate that I was allowed to develop based on the foods that were made available to me. When I was in the hospital last, I ate what was available, and almost every day. In fact, I don't want to say every day because I don't want to be inaccurate, but I tried so many foods that I had not yet ever tried. Chicken and dumplings, still had never tried them. My family loves chicken and dumplings, and they always looked and smelled disgusting to me, and I just never had a desire to put that in my face. But when I was in the hospital, I tried them, and I enjoyed them. They were made with love, and they tasted good. So I think in a way it's less about the food itself and more about the energy with which it is prepared, which is why when I pray over my food, I ask the Lord to protect me from anything in it which might harm me intentionally or otherwise, including the energy with which it was prepared. And in that way, I am able to protect myself even when I might be ingesting something that either wasn't handled properly or was intentionally handled with a desire to harm me. So just keep that in mind. Okay. So if someone who isn't a believer asks you home for dinner, accept the invitation if you want to. Eat whatever is offered to you without raising questions of conscience. But suppose someone tells you this meat was offered to an idol. Don't eat it out of consideration for the conscience of the one who told you. It might not be a matter of conscience for you, but it is for the other person. So in other words, even though you know that you can be protected energetically from any negative intentions in that food, you choosing to indulge in that food anyway can lead others who may not have the same protections as you astray. And so what would be wrong is not you eating the food, it is you setting the example that eating food that has been offered to idols is okay and isn't harmful. It is. It is. It's energetically and spiritually harmful. Some of us are energetically and spiritually strong enough that it's not going to affect us regardless. However, not everyone has that level of energetic and spiritual protection yet. And so it is harmful to them for us to indulge. For why should my freedom be limited by what someone else thinks? If I can thank God for the food and enjoy it, why should I be condemned for eating it? Again, eat whatever you want to eat, but just keep in mind that the sin might not be so much in eating the food itself, but in choosing to set an example that could be harmful for others. 99% of the time, when I was in a state of manic panic or whatever you want to call it, it was because I was stressed out because I was fully aware that my choices in that moment carried a lot of weight for others. And I desperately wanted to make the right choice. I did not want to lead others astray. So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God. Don't give offense to Jews or Gentiles or the church of God. I, too, try to please everyone in everything I do. I don't just do what is best for me. I do what is best for others, and so that many may be saved. And you should imitate me just as I imitate Christ. Chapter 11, Instructions for Public Worship. I am so glad that you always keep me in your thoughts and that you are following the teachings I passed on to you. But there is one thing I want you to know. The head of every man is Christ, and the head of woman is man. Not true. And the head of Christ is God. The head of woman is not man. Okay? It's not true. It never was true. I know y'all wanted it to be true, but it's not. The head of every individual is Source. Okay? However you choose to commune with Source, whether it's through Christ whatever your path. Source will direct you on your path. It is not my place to tell you what your path should be, but what I can tell you is there's no group superior to any other group in terms of any sort of physical or genetic manifestation. It's not a matter of all men are superior, or all Jews are superior, or all Gentiles are superior, or all gingers are superior. It's not that. It's a matter of the soul. The souls that have been called and the souls who answered the call can come in any form. So, a man dishonors his head if he covers his head while praying or prophesying. But a woman dishonors her head if she prays or prophesies without a covering on her head, for this is the same as shaving her head. Yes, if she refuses to wear a head covering, she should cut off all her hair. But since it is shameful for a woman to have her hair cut or head shaved, she should wear a covering. None of that really matters. However, you can have something to cover your head to protect your crown chakra, and your third eye even, because there are times when we may be more vulnerable to interference. So I understand the need for head coverings, okay? But this idea that women with short hair is a sin, or, there's a lot of contradiction because there's a lot of misinterpretation. So again, it's between you and source. If you feel the need to cover your head, cover your head. It's pretty simple. If someone has the need to have a head covering, that should be, for example, when I was in the hospital last and I asked for my head covering, my head scarf, for spiritual protection, I shouldn't have been denied that. Had I been a religion where that is established as part of the religion, by law, you would have had to have allowed me to have my head covering. Just because I am not a member of an established religion, and because my faith is personal and direct between myself and source, doesn't make it any less valid. So it was a violation of my religious freedom and my spiritual rights for them to disallow me to have my headscarf. A man should not wear anything on his head when worshiping, for man is made in God's image and reflects God's glory. If that were true, you would look very different. And woman reflects man's glory. No, again, not true. Man came from woman, not the other way around. I know that's how you really want it to be. That's why these are the books you included in the Bible. But it's not true. For the first man didn't come from woman, but the first woman came from man. Again, not true. Not true, not true, not true. It is a flat-out lie that Eve came from Adam. It is physically impossible for woman to come from man. All men came from women. Women came first. All right, you can't handle the truth, that's fine, but truth is truth. And man was not made for woman, but woman was made for man. Again, not true, Paul. Not true. Not true at all, although I know that's how badly you want to believe. For this reason, and because the angels are watching, a woman should wear a covering on her head to show